Dr. Ruckman, you just read Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. It says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. Jesus went in clouds. He's come back in clouds. Every time God appears, he appears in clouds. There seems to be some relationship with God and clouds. Are the clouds that are in heaven around his throne with the brightness of his glory and the rainbow, are they water? And when we get glory, because it says that we get glory too, what's the connection between this water and the clouds and us and eternity?
Yeah, how about that? I turn to Job. Now I'll read you what he says. And when I get through, and you probably won't be any smarter when I start, because I won't be any. And what I'm going to read you, I've been through a minimum of 150 times. And it's too much. And when you get in an airplane, when you really see it, I spent half my life flying in airplanes. I've been up there longer than the pilots. The pilots haven't lived as long as I've been flying. I've been flying 55 years. A lot of them are 55 years old. You look out the window and what you see these cloud banks. You come into a thunderhead and go through it. You always look out there and you always expect to see somebody just kind of walking across one of them clouds, or something. And it's weird when you off at a distance look at them, they have a shape to them, you get right through them and nothing, no shape to them, just a bunch of dewdrops on the wind out there. You can't see nothing. And I often wonder about those things. Now, I've studied physics. I've got 3 college education. I know how to explain all this junk, but you can't really explain it. I mean, how does that stuff stand up there and just float up there like that? Now, I know how they explain it, but it don't. It's like I do a little truck farm. I grow 21 to 24 different kind of vegetables. Everyone's got its own plant, its own roots, its own kind of soil, its own chemicals, its own bugs, its own disease, its own fungus. It's all this stuff, and you can explain it. But when you put out a watermelon seed there, and a melon seed there, and a corn seed there, and a squash seed there, and a peanut seed there, and a pepper seed there, and a Brussels sprouts there, and a broccoli there, and a cabbage there, and a carrot there, and a beet there, and a rutabaga there, and look at those seeds. They don't differ in each other any more than the kernel of corn, probably the biggest one, down to something the size of a pinhead, and all about the same color. I mean, yellow, brown, light brown, yellow, brown, dark brown, black, gray, black there. Now, how you explain that thing? One of them things comes up and it gives you something red the size of your fist underground. Other one comes out, it gives something pointed like a carrot, yellow underground. Other one goes 7 feet in the air and comes out with 2 corn cobs on it. You couldn't explain that thing with an explaining machine. But they put these names to it. They say, well, it's the hydrogen cycle, and the chlorophyll cycle, the blah, blah. Well, yeah, you got a good mouth, but the thing is a miracle. I don't have time getting all this, but did you ever look at a squash plant, and the thing comes up like this, the leaf comes up like this? That thing is a hollow tube. And when it rained, that thing could take in at least a gallon of water in a 2-inch rain. And that squash never gets any bigger than about like that. Most of them about like that. That watermelon sits out there, and that sucker's that big around, and the vine in that thing isn't any bigger than your little finger. And all the water got in that melon came through a vine like that, and it feels solid. And that squash has got 5 or 6 tubes leading down there like a hose to get this water with, and don't come out bigger than that. Now, how you explain that? You couldn't explain the thing with the explaining machine. You cut them out of watermelon, that thing is 80% water through this little old thing like this. So they have these ways of explaining things. Now about these clouds, I know what they say: evaporation, condensation, blah, 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 blah. But you don't really explain it. Now here's the material, and this is Job, and boy does he have something to say about these clouds. 35:5. Look to the heavens and see, and behold the clouds, which are higher than thou. Job chapter 36, verse 27. He maketh small the drops of water. They pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Can any understand the spreading of his clouds? That's what you asked about. Can any understand it? Or the noise of his tabernacle? It's up around the throne. Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and covereth the bottom of the sea. For by them, the cloud, he judges the people. Through the clouds, by the clouds. He giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covereth the light, and commandeth not to shine by the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise thereof, what in the world are you talking about? I don't know. The noise of what? The noise, the light, showeth concerning it the vapor, also the cattle concerning the vapor. Now I know what's going to happen now. It's going to be a rapture. At this, my heart trembles and is moved out of his place. He attendeth the noise of his voice, the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directs unto the whole heaven his lightning. It's lightning and thunder in a cloud that calls you up. After the voice roars, he thunders with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay then, that's you, when his voice is heard. When that thing comes, out you go. Verse 11, by watering he wearieth the thick cloud. He scattereth his bright cloud. It is turned around about by his counsels, that they, the clouds, may do whatever he commands upon the face of the world and the earth. Those clouds have something to do with judgment, people, and judgment on nations. Those clouds. According to the book. He caused it to come, whether for correction, or for his land, Israel, or for mercy. Hearken to this, O Job, stand still and consider the wondrous works of God. Dost thou know when God disposed them and caused the light of his cloud, as a singular one, to shine? Dost thou know the balancing of the clouds? What keeps them up? Of the balance of the clouds, the wondrous works of him which is perfect in knowledge. 21. And now men see not the bright light which is in the clouds, but the wind passeth and cleanseth them. Fair weather cometh out of the north. With God is terrible majesty. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power and judgment, plenty of justice. He will not afflict. Men do therefore fear him. He respects none of them that are wise in heart. One more, chapter 38, verse 37. Who can number the clouds in wisdom? Who can stay the bottles of heaven? Rain. When the dust groweth to hardness and the clouds cleave fast together, so forth and so on, so forth and so on. So the answer to your question is, I know that clouds are connected with God, and they're connected not only with God's throne, his first and second coming. They're connected with his judgment on lands and on people, and they have something to do with God dealing with nations. But as to what that is, I'll give you the classic original German, Ich weiß nicht, which means I know not. Brother, come ahead.